Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am going to do my next installment of my updated top 5 series. I'm talking about highlighters today, and when I went onto my channel to search for my top 5 highlighters, I was astounded that my last updated video was over 2 years ago. I posted it on January 5th, 2018. So this is long overdue, and although it has been 2 years and I've accumulated many more highlighters since then, I do still have a couple of repeats. I'll go ahead and tell you real quick what my favorites were 2 years ago for this video. The Galactic Luminous Face Veil in See-Through. I have a hair on my face. I can see it out of the... There it is, okay. Becca Champagne Pop, Lancome Sparkling Pesh, Jane Iredale Shadow in Allure, Essence Pure Highlight, and Hourglass Strobe Light Palette. Now, if you happen to be counting while I was saying those, you will know that that was actually 6 instead of 5. And there are 6 instead of 5 in this video too. I just could not narrow it down to 5. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I don't envision this being a super long video. I'll be doing swatches and kind of telling you what I like. But overall, what I look for in a highlighter is something that's not too chunky glittery. It's not going to exaggerate texture, because even though I don't naturally have texture in those areas and I don't naturally have large pores, if I am sensitive to a product or am having some kind of reaction, that typically will manifest in small bumps on the area that I like to put highlighter. So at the top of my cheekbones, even if it's not anything that I put in that area specifically, if it's a reaction, it tends to happen there and a little bit on my forehead. So when that does happen in the small bumps, sometimes it can take 2 or 3 weeks for them to go away. I don't want to use anything that's going to be super exaggerating for that area. I will save my very favorite for last. So in no particular order, I'll go ahead and talk about the 2 that are repeats from last year or 2 years ago. This is Becca Champagne Pop. So Becca was kind of, I don't want to say they were the start of the highlighter craze, because I personally think the Balm was the start of the highlighter craze with the luminizers. I know Mary Luminizer was the very first highlighter that I ever purchased, but they came on shortly thereafter and they took it by storm. They have so many different types of highlighters: powders, liquids, creams, highlighting primers, luminous foundations. I mean, they just know glowy skin. And while I have, I think, 3 or maybe even 4 of the powder highlighters, this is by far my favorite, and it is Champagne Pop. If you can see, this is the only one I'm going to talk about today that I've actually hit pan on, so that should show you how much I love it. Now, it's also probably the one I've had the longest, but I love this so much. I love it not only on the cheeks, but I also love it as an eyeshadow. I know I did a video probably a year ago where I used it as an eyeshadow, and there was like a month where I used this every single day on my lid as an eyeshadow and on my cheeks as a highlight. I just can't get enough of it. It's that beautiful peachy champagne color. I will say, if I had to pick an undertone for a highlight that I like the best, it would be peach. Because, you know, they've got pink, they've got gold, champagne, peach, rose. I mean, there's lots of different undertones, but peach is by far my favorite. And that is Champagne Pop. So pretty. And then the next one that is a repeat is the Essence Pure Nude. When I first talked about this, someone told me they were discontinuing it, so I bought 2 more as backups, which is honestly such a stupid thing to do, because obviously I haven't even hit pan on the first one that I purchased. The only thing that's justifying that, you know, it was okay, not the end of the world, is that these are like $5 each. I think I ended up giving 1 to my daughter. But this is my favorite highlight from the drugstore, hands down. I know Maybelline and L'Oreal and Wet n Wild, they do great highlights, but this is still my favorite. So it kind of has the Hourglass ambient lighting powder vibes to it. Like, it doesn't honestly look like a highlighter when you first look at it. It looks more like a powder. And that's, I think, one of the reasons I love it, because you're really not going to be able to see this. It's got a little bit more of a neutral tone. You can see it than the Champagne Pop. It's more of like a pinky champagne But oh my goodness, if you only like super natural highlights, ones that don't really look like highlights at all, my hair is all over the place today. This is going to be the one that you want, not to mention the fact that it's $5. It's absolutely beautiful. They have since launched other colors within this line. I have the sun color, like the darker bronzier color, but this is still my favorite. Okay, this next one I've talked about in favorites videos probably more than once. It's actually an eyeshadow, but I love using it as a highlighter. It's from Jane Iredale, and it is the shade Allure. So it looks like this. This is, to me, a more pinky toned highlight, a little bit more cool tone, which I hope you'll be able to see with this swatch. But this goes in line with the Essence to where it really absolutely shows no texture on the skin. It's just a very gorgeous, natural highlight in a cooler tone. It's super small. Now this is like, this was sent to me, so it's one of those tester, not for resales, but it comes in this size in the compact. So it's super small, super easy for travel. And I often travel with this one because of that and because of how gorgeous it is on the skin. Now this one I know I've talked about too. I unfortunately have to buy another one because I dropped it and one of the shades shattered beyond repair, and this one's about to come out as well. This is the Osmosis Highlighting Quad, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Now I don't tend to use this one when I use this highlighter. I will mix my brush into all three of these, and again it just makes such a pretty, now I don't know how well I'm going to be able to swatch this because of how broken it is. I can still use the other shades. It's just a little, harder to get into it, but that's it right there. So it's a little bit lighter, but again, you can customize this because it is a quad. So if you wanted a more rosy toned, you're obviously going to use more, this is not easy to do, I'm trying to not blind y'all, more of the rosy toned highlight. If you are darker skin, you could definitely use this more. Mix and match, they're also great eyeshadows. I think it's a great value. I believe it's $40, but you're essentially getting 4 shades. And I do love that. I really do need to repurchase that because ever since I've gotten it, it's been a huge favorite. Now, if I want more of like a gold tone highlighter, I don't even think twice about picking up the Persona highlight in Zuma. This is so pretty. I honestly don't know how I haven't hit pan in this because you can kind of see an indentation starting for sure. So gorgeous. This is going to be more of a highlighty highlight. You can sheer it out a little bit, but it is, it's blingy. It's got some bling to it, but I am not mad about that. This is another one that I also use quite often on the eyes. I love this as an inner corner highlight and brow bone highlight. I like to travel with it again because I can basically put my bronzer in the crease, this on the lid, and I'm good to go. Such a beautiful highlight. I don't think Persona highlights get talked about enough, at least for the people that I watch. Their line in general is amazing, but this one is a huge standout to me. Now, I know I said 6, and there's 6 powder highlights. That tends to be what I reach for the most, but I do want to mention my favorite liquid highlight, which is the Hollywood Flawless Filter. Now, I don't necessarily use this as a liquid highlight. I have before. I think it's beautiful as that. I use it more as a primer, and I also use it under my concealer and corrector to kind of blur and smooth that area out, and it really is pure magic under the eyes. But that is the number 3, which I believe is light medium. I can also use 4, but the 3 is what I tend to use the most. I have that under my foundation today, and again under my eyes. So I had to mention that before I go on to tell you my all-time favorite highlight, which if you watched my yearly favorites, you already know what this is. This is the RMS Grande Luminizing Powder Highlight. I need to get all these other swatches off my hand so I can show you how beautiful this is. This is the one that I am wearing on my face today. I don't know what it is about the day before you get your hair done, I'm getting it done tomorrow, that it just all falls apart. Anywho, the RMS Luminizing Powder in Grande looks like this. Doesn't look like much in the pan. Again, it's what I have on my cheeks today. I have sheared it out a little bit. You can get it brighter than this for sure. This is, I believe, the lightest color They have Midnight Hour, which is more of like a rosy gold color, and then Madeira Bronzer, which is a bronzer, obviously. But this is it right here. And again, it's what I have on my cheeks, in my inner corner, and on my brow bone. I don't know what to say about this that I haven't already said about all the rest of them, but it's kind of like a culmination of all the rest in one. I feel like I can really, really amp this up if I want it to be a super bright see me from space highlight. And if I don't and want to sheer it out more, I can definitely, obviously not use as much, but then I also find that this one buffs out really nicely and evenly. Sometimes highlighters can look gorgeous on the face if you want like a beaming highlight, but if you go in with your duo fiber brush, whatever brush you use to buff it out, it can kind of look streaky and uneven and a little patchy. This one buffs out very seamlessly to where it looks just like a toned down version of when I first applied it, which is really like the best of the best. It's what I look for in a highlighter. It's a very large pan. It is 15 grams, which is half an ounce, whereas like the Persona is 7.5 grams. The Becca is 8 grams. I don't know how much the Essence is. And then the Osmosis is 7.5 grams. So basically, this is twice as much as all the other highlights that I've talked about. So you're getting a huge amount of product for probably the same amount of money. I think it might be the most expensive one that I've talked about, but only by a couple of dollars. I think this is $42. And when you think about all the product that you're getting in there, it's worth it. Again, just like all of these, it's great as an eyeshadow, but sometimes I can't put into words why I like it. It's just the proof is in the pudding, and when you see it on my face, it just gives like a very luminous effect. I feel like I get the most compliments on my makeup when I have this highlighter on, at least of how glowy I look. This seems to be the common denominator, so it really was no question as to what was going to be in my top spot. I have had this one since April of 2019, and I honestly have used it so much I can't believe I haven't hit pan, but when I look at how much product is in there, it kind of makes sense. By far, my favorite highlight. Really quickly, because I get asked about this a lot, especially during tutorials, is what highlighting brush I use the most, and that is, no questions asked, the Anastasia Beverly Hills A23. 99% of the time, this is the highlighting brush that I will use. Love it. It has lasted me years. None of the writing is on it anymore. I can't tell you how many times I've washed it. I probably had this for almost 4 years. Love this so much. So I wanted to mention that because I feel like somebody would have asked me, and I do get asked a lot in my videos what brush I'm using to apply my highlight. So as is with every other video that I post, everything that I've spoken about, as well as everything that's on my face right now, will be listed and linked below in the description box. And as always, in my top 5 videos, I want to know what your top favorite highlighter of all time is. I have so many more in that drawer that I absolutely adore. If I've talked about loving them before, I still love them. They just didn't make my top 5. As always, thank y'all so much for watching. Be sure and like and subscribe before you leave so you don't miss out on any future videos. And I hope y'all all go out and have a very blessed day.